And welcome into the Cards post-game show. I'm Sarah Daly alongside Grant Salzman, and the Birds falling short tonight, or today rather, at Busch Stadium. The Yankees doubling up by a final score of 8-4. Pozo with a personal at bat today that meant a lot, but yet a few Cards, clutch plays, clutch at bats, still couldn't pull it off. Ollie getting tossed, Tanner getting tossed from the Yanks. It was exciting, strike zone up for debate, but either way, the Cardinals getting swept by the Yankees was not something I think Cardinal Nation was looking for. Welcome in, everybody. Personal thoughts, Grant, on first things first today. Just the Birds 0-3 against the Yanks is not what they're looking for.
Yeah, especially after a disappointing series against those Rockies. I think the playoff picture obviously has been out, but it was another tough watch is how it felt, because it was kind of reminding me of Friday. Yesterday's one thing, you got hit up a lot. Okay, whatever, those happened. But Friday and Sunday was just games that were right there for the taking, and you didn't find a way to do it. It's what bad baseball teams do. They find ways to lose games. Certainly happened today in the ninth with giving the Yankees basically a free pass to third base in 2 pitches instead of an out. Nobody on, about to face the top of the lineup. JC throws one into the dugout. Pozo can't catch a fastball. It's disappointing. But this team, they're tough to watch right now, Sarah. I think that is the honest answer is the fundamentals are just they're brutal.
I mean, to be honest, a high point of today's game was seeing Goldschmidt. I mean, it was good to see him back. Of course, once a Cardinal, always a Cardinal. The fans appreciating his last appearance at Busch, saying goodbye to 2025 and a 3-hit day for him. So literally, I'm trying to pull like the feathers out of the game. I mean, I know that's like cliche, but it's just hard. It's hard to watch a team try and lose, and not that they were trying to lose, but we've pulled some solid points the past couple of nights. Like Michaelis, typically in his last start, he had a really good start, right? We couldn't get the at-bats. We scored 8 runs and still lost 12-8. So there's a couple things that are still like a positive, and I'm not like being on that media bandwagon. I'm just saying there are some positives. Calling up, our center fielder with his major league debut, Nathan Church, rather. A couple of things. People want to see some Memphis guys come up. Unfortunately, due to injury, now we're getting that chance. It's not going to change the outcome of the season. So you kind of have to like take your hits, right? I mean, that's what we're looking at right now. You're not looking at anything different, really.
Yeah, I think that I understand being upset by losing, but from here on out, the wins and loss don't matter. I know people don't like when you take out one thing, even in a loss, and spin a positive from a player, but that's what's important right now. Nobody cares. The Cardinals could lose every single game, and if 3 or 4 players look really good, that's good for next season. Wins and losses do not matter from here on out at all. When you have the kids play, which is what people want, they wanted Church up here, they wanted other people up here. That's what's going to happen when you're playing guys that probably aren't maybe not good enough yet to play in the MLB. And Aaron says, great, Grant, accepting the loss, huh? Aaron, I don't think I'm accepting it. It sucks, but the season's over. You're not making the playoffs. Wins and losses here on out don't matter. The difference between 75 wins and 82 at the end of the season is irrelevant. Like, what you want to see now is some positive development from some young players for these next 40 days or 40 games or so. And that's what the Cardinals have to figure out.
And not to add fuel to the fire, but the Cubs did win today against Pittsburgh. Final score there 4-3. So you're starting to see a little bit of pull away there. If there was any chance at all a couple of games ago, looking at a wild card spot, maybe getting some ground for Michaelis today. 5 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 of those earned, 5 walks, 1 strikeout. Now looking at literally just a hair under a 5 ERA. So Sonny Gray yesterday, not exactly the outing that we had hoped for, only going a couple of innings. Starting rotation always been in question. And today Romero, who typically, for the most part, has been consistent, just kind of fell off the wagon.
I don't think I would say that, though, Sarah. 0 earned runs. I don't really think that anything there was Jojo Romero's fault. You're in a real tough spot with that top of the Yankees lineup after basically placing a Yankee on third base with JC and Pozo's errors. That's how I don't put any of the blame today on Jojo Romero. He gave up 3 runs while he was in, and none of them were earned. So I think it's hard with only giving up a hit to put anything on Romero. you're drawing ground balls sometimes, and your defense
And 2
can't.
walks, and that puts guys on, right? So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Two-thirds of an inning and 1 hit, not earned, but then putting guys on also really doesn't help.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that then once you have a guy on third already, he gets the ground ball to Burleson. You have to pitch around Stanton because your only chance to prolong the game tied is to strike him out. I think that because I think with nobody on base, he has a much more different approach to Stanton, and everything is revolved around that error to JC. And to Jojo Romero's point, I mean, credit, he almost got out of that near impossible situation. But yeah, it's just, I think as tough as it is to say, that ninth inning goes on Thomas to JC.
So after Michaelis came out, Leahy came in an inning and a third, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, and he's pitched in and out of trouble quite often this season. He's pitched into it, gotten out of it. He's come in a bad position and gotten out of it. And once again, just looking really good out there. I think he's probably been one of the highest points of the Cardinals bullpen this season. A couple of weak spots, but as you're going to have every year, right?
Yeah, I've been impressed with O'Brien. He's been good. 1 1/3. He gave up one of Leahy's runs, but the bullpen's been okay. I think the Kyle Leahy struggle the last 2 days has been a little concerning. Yesterday, I think 5 batters on base. Today, some hard hit balls, but he was able to get out of it. Then in his second inning of work, obviously gave up a run. I don't know. It's just a tough watch right now, Sarah. Michaelis was fine today. It's just, I think there's just a lot of frustration.
Yeah, and of course, Nathan getting his major league debut and not at the expense of what we want to see. A lot of injuries. Victor Scott going on the 10-day IL after that ankle twist against the wall. Of course, you still have Donovan out and Contreras out, and just Contreras rather. And it's just like some of the frustration when you're already hurting. It's like just adding salt to the wound, right? And now you hope that these guys just can recover a little bit and get better, and it turns into nothing major. But yeah, you always want to see major league debuts, but just not this expensive, right?
Yeah, I think that it will finally, I mean, if you're trying to give a positive, it will finally give Church a chance. A lot of Cardinal fans have been clamoring for Church, and you're going to have 40 games to figure out what you got in him, which I don't think is a bad thing. If he hits and is successful, all of a sudden maybe you got another outfielder for next season. If he struggles, he'll be back in the minor leagues next season.
So I did hear an interesting comment today in the broadcast. There was some conversation about Herrera talking to Ollie about going back to catcher at some point. It wasn't a huge dialogue. It wasn't more than 5 minutes maybe. And for a broadcast, that's quite a bit of banter about it. But it was something that definitely caught my attention. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think from a lineup stance going into the next few years, your best lineup would include Ivan Herrera at catcher because of how good of a bat he is. But then it's, does Herrera hit as well as a catcher? Because he's worn out from catching. Is he getting hurt more? I think that if Herrera keeps hitting next season like he is this season, you got to play him wherever you can preserve his bat the best. But I don't think Pozo will be on this roster next year. I don't think Pedro Pajes either is your catcher of the future, which leaves a lot to question about that position.
Yeah, and you mentioned a key fact there. The catcher is getting beat up. Today was another prime example of that. And that's their role. That's their job. It's not like it's not going to happen, but man, sometimes you just get hit a little bit more back there, and it's no feat to just get plunked in the face and beat up and bruises and literally sitting in an ice bath when you're done. So Pozo with a solo shot, making it 4-3 today, but clearly the Birds just couldn't come back and hang on to that. So a personal note for him, it was Players Weekend. His bat had his son's name on it, hit a home run with it. I think that was, he's such an amazing story going from sleeping in his car in a Walmart parking lot to the Major League Baseball era and what he's become as a player. And I think standing close to his family is amazing. So again, looking at some of the positives as players on and off the field, I think is also key. And he's one of those guys that is both a solid character off the field as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem if you bring in Pozo again to be your backup catcher next year. The way that he hits in clutch situations, I think it's the way that he hits too in situational hitting, which the Cardinals majorly can't emphasize enough how much they struggle in situational hitting. Pozo's a guy with a guy on third, one out. You feel confident to go hit that sac fly at worst and drive in that run. There's a lot of frustration in the chat, Sarah. I want to get some of the comments.
Yeah, go ahead.
Says, I'd like to say I'm a pretty level-headed fan, but this is getting old. It's just bad baseball, bad talent. It's almost surreal how bad they are. I would say, Nick, it's almost surreal how mediocre they are. If they were bad, I feel like I could handle it. They're bad, okay? It's a bad team. It's a bad year. Let's move on to next year. It's just how they always seem to be almost there. They give you a little hope, and then they drop it right back down to mediocrity, I think is one of the big frustrations. Hamburglar says clean house, period. All the way down from minors to the big club. Yeah.
There's a couple of guys that I'm anxious and excited to see in the minors as well. So I wouldn't quite go to that extent.
But I think that's the frustration is just the Cardinals find ways to be right in it, and they just can't. I can't take advantage of it. There's a comment in here too. I scrolled past it. My question is, with all the kids, why no JJ? Yeah, JJ Weatherholt's one of the big names. I think that it's partially it. It could.
You don't want to bring him up too early. Look what happened to Walker. I mean, Walker is a prime example. I feel like they're going to be a little hesitant because that was their superstar, right? Mm-hmm. That was their promising prospect. That was the guy who was going to make a difference, and he's just not exactly doing.
I think with JJ Weatherholt, the best thing to be was 2 years ago with Mason Wynn. They got him up for about 20 to 30 games, and Cook says they don't want to blow his rookie status at this point. It'd be really hard for his rookie status to be blown. I think if you bring him up in September, give him 20 games or so, let him realize what Major League Baseball is. That's what they did with Mason Wynn last year. Let him work out a little bit of kinks while the games don't matter, and then have a full season. Sorry, Mason Wynn 2 years ago. Then have a full season for your full rookie year, I think would be the most beneficial. What they did with Walker was they just threw him into the fire. The team wasn't supposed to be that great, but the game, it was still early. Games still mattered, and they threw him in. He ends up getting demoted, stuff like that. I think it would be smart to give Weatherholt at least a taste of the major leagues in the next month or so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. It's such a tough spot, right? I mean, there's pros and cons to both. Whether you bring him up, there's a pro. If you don't bring him up, there's, a pro and a con. It's like you go into spring training, ease your way into a season, really letting him have a full season to be a standout rookie and get his full shot. Or if you bring him up the last couple of weeks, it's like, okay, experience, but it's not going to be as touted as it could be. It could not, there's just so much that goes into it. And I know people are frustrated, want to see it, and deservedly so. That's one thing is somewhat growing up in Cardinal Nation is that there's always been depth to the Cardinals. They've always had an answer for someone, right? Even to the point that like Yachty was catching and guys were waiting in the wings for so long. And it's like, well, you're never going to, unless he seriously got hurt and was done, like you're not going to get that issue, right? But they've always had an option for everyone that's been out. They've had someone behind them, someone to continue the play, someone to carry on the tradition. And they've just been like flat out of answers in certain spots.
Yeah.
And people have plug and played and always moved the puzzle pieces around, and some things have worked and something haven't. But a lot of these guys can not permanently, and I wouldn't say like be legitimate, but they can carry a position, right? Not their main position, but there's a lot of like 2, 3, 4 hat wearers that can move around and really try and work it out. So as you can see from Space right here, he comments on JJ and it says, I think they bring JJ up with a month left in the season. As you mentioned, Grant, it'll help show if he needs to make any adjustments for the majors right off the bat. I do think spring training gives him enough of that. Look what he's doing in AAA. I know there's a huge difference from AAA to the majors, but he's not unaware of what he's dealing with, right?
I just think the majors is a whole different experience that you don't get in spring training. I think that if he knew what he struggled with in the majors or knew what was good for him, he could carry all of that into next season. I don't know. That's how I view it, is that I think it could be beneficial. But to your point with it feels like there's a lot of guys, and this has been the plague of the Cardinals the last few years, that can play a few positions, that can succeed at a few different positions and be serviceable.
Right.
But they don't have that guy in front of them. The old Cardinals, they had guys that were serviceable behind their stars. The Cardinals don't have any stars right now, and you need a few in the majors now to really be able to compete. I think everyone is just average to below average, and that's why they're struggling.
Couple of comments here. Where's the runway from Hamburglar? That's been a comment I think that we've heard like pretty much over and over since the All-Star break. I mean, like, what do you think the Cardinals do at this point?
Well,
Ace Rock say, Grant, if you were blue, would you keep the end of the year if you were cleaning house? I mean, what do you think the direction is for the Birds? I mean,
okay, if you're going on the major league roster right now, the players that I think will 100% without a doubt be on this roster. If you're in the space of we're getting rid of everybody, and I'm assuming he's talking about players right now, not the staff, because I can't speak that much to that. I don't know as much about who he would fire in the staff, in the minor leagues, etc. But on the major league roster, without a doubt, will be Mason Wynn, obviously. I think Victor Scott will be on the roster. I'm pretty confident Brennan Donovan will be on the roster. I think that it'll be close to impossible to move Sonny Gray as well. I think Matthew Liberatore's probably on the roster.
That's how it's like when I watch a game, Grant.
I would say that could be it. Maybe Jordan Walker for sure. But I don't think he's a for sure. I think I'd add Wilson Contreras to that as well, because he also will be tough to move, likes it here. But other than that, I think 5 to 6 guys are for sure on this roster, and I would like to put JJ Weatherholt up there as well.
Yeah, it just, again, like, I know everyone has their opinions on where to go and what to do and everything else, and it's disheartening, it's frustrating, it's I don't want to say Cardinal Nation has been spoiled, but we are the like quote unquote best baseball, town in America for a reason, and we're used to having a dominant organization, if not at least competitive. I mean, that's the way it's been. We've been a top 5 team for a long, long time, and it's just when you don't have answers that are corrected somewhat situationally or almost simultaneously at that like dealing with it instantly, then it becomes frustrating. And now you're looking at a whole season that is quote unquote a rebuild. Well, if a product isn't on the field next year, this is not going to be a good situation for Chaim Bloom, for anybody really. And even though it's going to be a pivot of organizational leadership, it's going to be different. I mean, I think this is an adjustment period for sure. I know it's frustrating for even just fans that just love Cardinal baseball. It's like, how can you be a Cardinal fan right now? Well,
yeah, I think that by 2026, next year, you have to compete. And the thing is, I think there's a little bit, I do it, I think fans do it. I don't want to say an overreaction, maybe a little dramatic, that it's not as bad as it seems. There's a comment, at least we could be Rockies and White Sox with an impossible rebuild. I think the hope is that, you're on, I don't know what they'll win this year. Let's say they go 81 and 81. I'm just throwing a number out there. If you can improve by 9 wins with a little more consistency, some more pitching, a little more effort in the offseason, I think that's totally doable, or at least 7 or 8. And then you're competing. Maybe you're making the playoffs as well. Charlie Smith says the strike year is 2026. No, the strike year is 2027 is when the CBA. The next season will go on without a hitch. It could be 2027 that will not. Jay Cal says Walker is still young and he's improving. I think he should stay. I agree with that. I'm just was saying that in a situation of who I think 100% will be on the roster, I think it will be those guys. I'm not 100% about Jordan Walker.
You mentioned the strike, and I just, that kind of gives me flashbacks because I will vividly remember Dad played for Toronto. I believe it was it 94 the last strike? I think it was, but
there was a hold in, I believe.
Yeah. And so we had moved to Canada, well, temporarily moved everything up there. I'm the list of 5 kids. Mom packed everything we got up there. And then they said, okay, we're going to go on strike. Everyone, go your ways, go back down. We'll let you know what happens. And we had drove from Toronto back down to St. Louis, Missouri. And we woke up the next morning and the strike was over. My mom's like, that's it. We're not going. So Dad flew up and finished the season without us. And we all had to start school in September because it was so close. I believe it was August or whatever. But I just remember we had worked so hard to get everything done. And literally the next morning they were like, strike's over. MLB's back in action. It's like, oh my gosh. And so when people say that, it's just, my mentality goes to a different space because
Yeah.
being on the other side of it, everyone thinks about the player themselves and like what that player is going to do and what the team's going to do. And there's so many other aspects that go into injuries and trades and strikes, and it affects so many people. And so when I hear some of the personal stories like Pozo and things like that, I love talking about those because some of the inside stories make some other things when you're losing a lot more worth the story, right? And so when you just said that, that's like when I think strike, that's the first thing I think of, and it just gives me like, oh my gosh, everyone that's affected by this, I feel so bad.
You're scared of it.
Yeah, it does. It's like a taboo word. Like, don't say that word. That just causes problems. So now the Cardinals clearly, after falling to the Yankees, now 61-64. The Yankees 67-57. Pretty even killed as far as the record goes. What do we have to look forward to? Because we'll be tomorrow at Miami at 5:40. It's an earlier start, clearly, because they're down in Florida. But what do you see happening in the next series or two for the Cardinals?
Yeah, you play 6 games against 2 average to below average teams in the Rays and the Marlins. There needs to be some positives. I think you got to find a way to win 4 or 5 games on this stretch. 5 games, obviously, you'd be overjoyed with, but I think a 4-2 road stand is very realistic if the team plays well. It's just, you never know with this team. It's a really weird road trip because they go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday in Tampa, an off day on Saturday, and then they play Sunday because in Tampa without a dome, there's a high chance of a rain out one of those days.
Yeah, down in Miami. They're in a dome?
Miami's closed. Tampa is not because of the hurricane.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That was the former Trot Field. I don't know what it's called now, but went to school down there, and I remember they played the Yankees opening day, and I called Dad and was like, I feel really bad for these guys that are making their rookie debut because there's more Yankees fans at Trot Field than there are Rays fans. And then they ended up going on, and Lou Piniella was hired as the manager. They ended up winning World Series, and it just kind of went. Crawford was there; that was their big stud, and things just went up from there. But definitely a different atmosphere for either the Rays or Miami when you're down there. But so yeah, they're against Miami for 3. And then what do you think the record's going to do? Do you think they're going to pull a couple out? Do you think, what are we looking at here for this future of this team?
I'll go on this homestand or on this road trip or for the season.
I'd say in the next 2 series.
I'll go next 2 series 3-3.
Okay.
That's fair enough. Perfectly bang average.
Because Miami, then to Tampa, and then back, and then Pittsburgh for 4 here at home. And do you really think? Okay, so let's go to the next series. Do you really think they can beat Pittsburgh?
I would hope so, but I'll go in 10 games. I go 5-5.
Chad the Chief is saying 0-6 for the next series. Ace Rob, can't tell you what I saw in Tampa. They would ban me, LOL. Well, Tampa's a different scene than Miami, much different, even though they're both in Florida. 75 wins, says King's Echo. I said 90 at some point, and that's slipping away from my grasp, but that was my bet at a little bit before the All-Star break. Did you ever? Yeah, I know.
I said before the season 85, and I'm sticking to that. Hopefully they can get to 85, but I'm losing confidence in that. Someone said that they don't play Saturday because of a Bucks preseason game, but the Bucks and the Rays are not sharing a stadium right now. It's just because of the caution with rain is because why they have an off day in the middle of the series.
So yeah, they have Miami Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Tampa Thursday, Friday, off Saturday, play Sunday.
Yeah.
Instead of that typical Thursday getaway day. And then they're home for 4 against Pittsburgh and then against Cincinnati on the road.
Yep.
So, yeah. And the Bucks actually play at Ray J, which is right across from Legends Field, where the Yankees play all spring training. So, like, the population would double during spring training because you have all your snowbirds coming down and then all the Yankees fans coming down to Tampa as well. So, with that being right there by Tampa International, that was a pretty happening spot. So, hopefully, at least some point, they'll be some fans supporting whatever situation is going on there. But we do have to thank our sponsors and all our wonderful people. So again, if you are joining us here, we appreciate if you do subscribe, comment, like, hang out with us all the time, because this is your number one spot for all sports in St. Louis. As Kaka is saying, the team is exactly what we knew they were. Does not bother me. I've been to 8 games this year. We'll probably go to 2 or 3 more. Call me a sheep. I don't care. I love baseball. Also 2-8 the next 3 series. 2-8. Yikes, that's scary. I'm happy that you're still going to games. I think that's amazing. I will still go. I'm actually going to be there on September 5th because they're doing the 85 series reunion that night. And so we're going to head down there and support everyone that was part of that crew, because Dad was a part of that. But I mean, baseball's baseball. You're going to be a fan of your support highs or lows. I mean, look at the poor Cubs fans. They're getting a little bit of a break, and they're finally actually having a winning series, but they've been there forever. So I think the Cardinals fans should probably do the same. Right, Grant?
We'll see. They have a little bit higher of an expectation than Cubs fans do.
All right. Well, nothing beats relaxing on a hot summer day, or when it's raining outside, or the humidity of St. Louis, but watching baseball. And the simplest way to get in the action is to download the Pick 6 app from DraftKings. It's really crazy simple. Just add more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you're in the mix for big cash prizes. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick 6. And right now, new customers can get $25 in bonus picks with their first deposit of $5. So download DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to get $25 in bonus.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Once again, Cardinals falling short to the Yanks in this Sunday series finale by a final score of 8-4. Miles Michaelis taking his turn on the bump. Didn't exactly get it done. A couple of things that happened out there today, but just some frustration for the Cardinals. We'll be right back at it tomorrow as they are in Miami. First pitch, 5:40 Central Time, because they are an hour ahead. That is Grant Salzman. I'm Sarah Daly. We appreciate everybody tremendously. Once again, if you have been joining us, great. If you're a newcomer, first timer, please subscribe, like, hang out with us all the time. Everything St. Louis sports will be covered right here all the time on STL Sports Central. So have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.